I want to see if I have any rights or anything I can do. It's kind of a long story, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I lost my parental rights years back, and the day that the adoption was finalized to my mother, she called me to pick her up. My daughter was living with me consistently for over 2 years, and then she was with my mom for the weekend while my husband was in the hospital, and I got a call from the police department to come pick her up. That my mom was trying to put her on the 5150 lockdown because they got into a fight.
All right, we're back. I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I'm here today with my co-host, Miss G. Georgette, and we're taking calls, listening to your stories, answering your questions. And I want to acknowledge one of our sponsors today, shrinestore.com. If you want to be a rock star, you need to dress like a rock star. Check out shrinestore.com. All right, we're going to take another call right now. It's going to be, I believe it's Bree from California. Bree, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi, a little bit of both, I guess.
Okay.
I want to see if I have any rights or anything I can do. It's kind of a long story, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I lost my parental rights years back, and the day that the adoption was finalized to my mother, she called me to pick her up. My daughter was living with me consistently for over 2 years, and then she was with my mom for the weekend while my husband was in the hospital, and I got a call from the police department to come pick her up. That my mom was trying to put her on the 5150 lockdown because they got into a fight, and that my daughter clearly didn't need to be there. So CPS was called, and they came out, they searched my home, they checked my background, my husband, they talked to my daughter. They told me that they were going to have her supervisor, the social worker, write up paperwork giving me legal responsibility of her medical and her education, and promised my daughter that she would never have to go back there again. Well, we received a call randomly several days after that agreement, and the social worker said that my mom was going to come and pick her up, and that she can come back to me after the weekend, that it's up to my mother whether she stays with me or not. And at that time, my mother took her down to Mexico, and it's been over 7 months, and I've not been able to be in contact with any of them. And now, while we were going through this, and the social worker said she was going to give me the paperwork, my mother at that time was telling the social worker she wanted to give up the adoption. And the social worker told her that she could go to jail potentially for that, and that it was not okay, that you can't do that. But then she goes and takes her down to Mexico. And the social worker, we had explained to her, my daughter, neighbors, my husband, about the violence and abuse that was going on with my mother. And we have a whole case going back to when I was a child with abuse from her. The social worker didn't look into any of the allegations. My daughter was on the floor screaming, crying, not wanting to go there. She told the social worker, if I have to go with Nana, something bad is going to happen to me. Social worker didn't care. And now it's been 7 months since she's gone. And I have a feeling that she is being held in a psych ward because she has not been able to get to a phone or social media, hasn't talked to any friends or family or anything. And so I just want to see, like, is there any way of making the social worker responsible or accountable for this? Or what can I do to try to get her back?
Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to file some type of paperwork with the court giving you standing or declaring you a presumed parent because you've lost your parental rights, that type of thing, in order for you to get your foot in the door to start fighting for, rights to the child.
Okay. And do I have any case against CPS for doing this to her?
The child may have a case. It doesn't sound like you have a case because theoretically and unfortunately, you're not the mother anymore.
Right. And from watching all of your shows, I have realized now that when they took my parental rights, every step of the way was completely illegal. I wish I had your show back then when I was going through all this, but I did not know. So it's just been kind of a nightmare for a really long time.
Right. Do you have the radio show on playing in the background? Because I'm getting a reverb.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, what I would suggest you do is on Monday or Tuesday, give me a call at the office. I can maybe walk you through some detailed steps of what you need to do. Because unless you have an attorney, you're not going to be able to figure this out by yourself. It's kind of an unusual situation. You lost your parental rights.
It really is.
The mother gave you back the child. You're raising the child for a couple of years. How old's the child now? 12, you said?
She just turned 13.
13, okay. So, yeah, it's kind of an unusual situation, and it doesn't sound like your mother's going to want to cooperate. So, there's going to be a few hurdles you're going to have to jump over legally, okay?
Right. Okay.
So 888-888-6582, give me a call, all right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. We have a few moments. Let's take a quick call from Lorena in California. Lorena, did you have a quick question you wanted to ask us?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm in a very bad situation. Now he's 8. He turned 8 2 days ago, and he was removed December 6, 2021, and it was by the school, the bus driver. But the report exaggerated, and they said that he was running around up and down the street naked, and he wasn't. So he's autistic and he's nonverbal, and he was taken as an emergency removal, and I don't know why. Until I read the report, and it's super exaggerated. And I asked the social worker, I wanted him to go to to my daughter or sister, and she said no. She arrived to my house with 3 cops in Lakewood, California, and I didn't see him until I hired my monitor on Christmas Day, and I don't see him because they say they don't have monitors, and he's nonverbal, so I don't know what to do. And then I had my adjudication day on March 4th, and the attorney, she didn't defend me at all, and so everything was sustained. And I want to know what to do regarding visits. For 9 hours, I had a week. Now the judge gave me 4.
Okay, well, this is what you need to do. If you just had your adjudication, what you need to do is file a notice of appeal. All right, and you should try to get a lawyer to represent you in an appeal if you believe there was injustice. Regarding your visitations, I think that you should definitely talk to your lawyer and see if he or she is going to help you, with getting visitation with the children. The excuse that they don't have enough monitors isn't, in my opinion, isn't probably true, or isn't a good excuse. They're required to give you family reunification services, including monitored visits. They get millions and millions and millions of dollars from the federal government to do just that. So when they say they don't have, they've run out, I always look at that with a raised eyebrow.
Yes, so I want to know, would you, if I get a consultation with you, would you represent me? Because I don't know what to do at this point, because everything is filed and distorted, and a lot of lies on the report.
I don't know, Lorena, we can talk about that. Call me on Monday, 888-888-6582. All right, and I'll talk to you about it. But thank you for calling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Call back in a few weeks and give us an update of what's going on, okay?
I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena.
Bye.
All right. Miss G, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Why don't you tell our listeners one more time the days and times of your show?
3 minutes.
My shows are on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The first show is Fight CPS with Miss G. The second show is at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that's Fight CPS Real Talk with Miss G. And the third one is at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is Relatives Fight CPS.
Okay, very good. We have a new member in our group, Sabrina. She has a show. Do you know when Sabrina's show, Fight CPS with Sabrina, when that is?
That's a good question. I don't have it with me right now, Mr. Davis. I have it listed on my notebook.
Okay.
But it's every week. I apologize. I wasn't ready for that one.
No problem. Listen, Ms. G, I want to thank you for being a guest host today. I really appreciate
2 minutes.
it. Really appreciate that.
My pleasure, sir.
Any interesting cases?
Do we have, well, I would like to share something. I actually did mention it on the show earlier. It's about Gavin Newsom signed Senator Nancy Skinner. I couldn't remember her last name.
Okay, we got about
now that it's in my head.
We got about 90 seconds.
9 seconds. Okay, so the new law, which removes obstacles in foster care system that prevented children from being placed in relative caregivers who may have past conviction. Current law can prevent someone from caring for a child even when their past conviction is decades old and they pose no safety risk to the children. This new law has passed to be able to have these grandparents or relative members to have placement of the children without any hurdles. So this is a new law. It's called Skinner's
1 minute.
354 Foster Care Placement with Relatives, new law. I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes, sir. I have a copy of that, and I also share the link on my page on Facebook.
Okay, do me a favor. Email that to Grace and tell her to post that on all of our social media, okay? Because that's very important.
Yes.
Hey, we're come to the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week on the radio.